Olympian who was knocked out in the third round. No, I'm kidding. But she was an Olympian this year. She did compete in the women's singles tournament in tennis, and she's a name that is known throughout pop culture right now. One of the hotter names, considering the stands that she's taken at both the French Open and Wimbledon, Naomi Osaka. And recently, there was a documentary about Naomi Osaka that dropped on Netflix. And it's called Naomi Osaka. And it was actually executively produced by Maverick Carter and LeBron James. I had no clue until yesterday when I was finishing up the documentary, or the mini-series. I don't know what to call it, mini-series, documentary, whatever it is. I didn't even know that LeBron James is the executive producer of the whole thing. So anyway, it was 3 episodes long, and it basically it covered everything from the 2018 U.S. Open, which was, I believe, the first Grand Slam she won, through this recent Australian Open, or through the 2020 U.S. Open. Sorry, not the Australian Open, because that was the last event that was covered. So none of the mental health stuff in 2021 was even kind of brought up. It wasn't even brought up towards the end. But what I found interesting about the documentary was that there was almost pieces that were laid into place for the documentary, or for the mental health stuff, not the documentary. It was really cool to see, because, I mean, there were I feel like now, being in society here in 2021, knowing what happens to the whole Naomi Osaka story, you're looking for little clues. And I feel like I was looking for all these subtle hints when it came to Naomi and the mental health stuff. It was she would say, I need a break. I need some time mentally. And I think that was just stuff that was added in there by the editors, considering they obviously know what the situation is now and what people want to see. So I just found it very interesting. Little things. It was very little dialogue. It's oh, I need a break. I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. But I think there was a couple takeaways that I took from this Naomi Osaka documentary, besides those little editing takes type things. The first is that, damn, bro, the amount of pressure that she is under is crazy. I did not know that she really is the only kind of female representation for women's tennis in Asia, because she is one of the only highly ranked tennis players from Asia, or she's the first world number 1 to ever be from Asia. So the whole continent of Asia, she's the first woman or man to be the number 1 player in the world from the continent of Asia, which is crazy. Considering Asia contains I don't know the exact statistic, but 50% of the world's population, and they are literally the hopes of tennis rest on this poor girl's shoulders, who's 23. So I found that really cool. And obviously it sucks for her, but I found it really cool insight to see what she's thinking all the time. Just how she handles all of that. She has a hella off-court commitments. That's what I realize is all the endorsements, the fashion. It really gives you a full picture of an athlete, which is what I think I enjoyed the most throughout the whole miniseries, was that it really gave people a nice picture of what it's like to be a high-profile athlete like that, and someone who's particularly just, as big a name as Naomi Osaka is in this world today. The second thing that I really didn't know about her was how close her relationship was to Kobe Bryant. I never knew that she had a really good relationship with Kobe like that. I never knew that they knew each other personally. So they would text and stuff, and he was a mentor of hers, and it was really cool to get to hear that whole story of Kobe and her, and then obviously the passing and how that affected her. And it was a really it was just very enlightening for me, as someone who had no idea that those two had a relationship. And it was sad to see, because obviously Kobe is just so beloved amongst all sports fans. So reliving that moment again always sucks, but getting to see it from her perspective was very, very interesting. And it was very unfiltered, which is what I kind of liked about this miniseries. And I really don't have much negative things to say about it. It's a little slow, and I think if you're not a tennis fan, you aren't necessarily going to enjoy it. But as someone who has been an avid fan of the sport for like as long as I can remember, this was definitely like worth the watch in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, I think it got released at the exact right time, and I think the marketers did a good job of releasing like the name Naomi Osaka at the time because it's going to get a lot of hits, but I feel like a lot of people aren't necessarily going to like enjoy this. Because I feel like people are expecting she's going to talk about like the mental health stuff and all the stuff that happened this year at the French Open, but the documentary doesn't really focus on that. It focuses a lot on her life, which is I think really cool, and I'm a big fan of. So anyway, if you guys are more into like the athlete side of things rather than like the mental health side of things, I highly recommend that you watch this documentary. I thought it was super worth it, a lot of fun, and definitely like worth a watch. So, I mean, if you're just a sports fan, I think the Naomi Osaka miniseries is definitely worth a watch. But anyway,